Hi, welcome. I'm Terrence Young, and thank you for tuning in for another episode of Possess the Land as I share information about investing, building wealth, building great income, changing our lives, changing our family lives, changing our communities, lives in the community, changing lives in generation. So, if you saw the previous video, I talked about one of the reasons to invest in land has to do with for wealth and income. Well, today I'm going to talk about something a little different in that there's a lot of reasons for investing in land and real estate, for possessing the land. And I'm going to talk about two of those reasons today. The two things I'm going to talk about have to do with for minerals and for food production. Okay. But before we do, as usual, I usually have a book in front of me. And so once again, I've got the book about the 1 minute millionaire. And today I was just happened to scanning the book a little bit, and I came across this aha. The book is separated in these aha moments, and aha number 9 in the book says wealth is freedom. I said, that's a great aha. And so I thought to myself, so what does it mean? Wealth is freedom. Imagine working because you want to work, not working because you have to work. A wise person in my life used to remind me all the time something that says, if you're not about the business of building your dream, someone will hire you to help them build theirs. I said, okay. Now, that doesn't mean that you go out and quit your job. So please do not do that. But it does mean that things like multiple streams of income, having a backup plan, and having things that you can control more of in your life becomes as important as working a 9 to 5. And certainly 9 to 5 is important. We have to pay bills. We may have mortgages. We may have kids, families, on whatever the case may be. So don't quit your job. So let's dive right into this. So wealth, possess the land. This time we're going to talk about minerals. In the last session, I didn't mention this, but a couple things that kind of stand out to me are kind of worldwide, and that is this whole notion of land and mineral rights. Imagine what it would be like if you owned land and there was oil beneath the surface of that land, like there is in Texas. In fact, there's this show I watched. I didn't know what it was about at first. It's called Landman, but the whole thing is about this guy who works in the oil industry and the whole notion of how they go out and prospecting for oil. And sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. But think about it like this: most of us probably not going to own a land with oil minerals or oil under the land. We could, though, if we were in Texas or some other parts of the world. But also think about places in the world where that plays out, not just in the United States, like in the Middle East, like in South America, like Venezuela, like Africa. Africa is one of the largest oil producers in the world, I believe, largest in Africa. Nigeria, I'm sorry, Nigeria, not Africa, but Nigeria, specifically Nigeria. Oil production is very, very important, very big in Nigeria. It's big in the Middle East. Think about what's happening in places in the world like Iran and the disruption of oil transportation through the body of water there, the Strait of Hormuz, I think it's called. So you think about it, having the rights to that oil. But let's go beyond oil a little bit. Imagine places in Africa where there's gold, there's rare earth minerals. And so, what are rare earth minerals? If you think about what powers a cell phone, what powers weapons, is these certain minerals like cobalt, lithium, all these minerals that are out there. And if you own land that has those minerals beneath the surface, then you own some very valuable land. So land and minerals kind of go hand in hand. But let's go a little further about this because most of us like say, oh, yeah, right, Terrence, we're going to go and find land that has minerals under it. We're going to mine it. No, not necessarily, but here's something we can do. And this is where I shift a little bit. And I'm going to bring the stock market into this conversation a little bit too. Again, as I have Peter Lynch's book here, How to Beating the Street. Um, what we can do if we can't own the land directly, we can invest in companies through the stock market, through ETFs, through mutual funds that invest in those companies. At the earlier part of 2025 or sometime 2025, early 2026, gold and silver and copper, uranium, all those things that we can invest in indirectly or actually directly through ownership of stock. So I'm not saying run out and possess the land that way because you don't own the land directly, but you own part of the production or the company that owns the land or has the rights to mine that land to those minerals and stuff. So that's something we can do. So consider that. You might want to talk to your financial advisor and say, hey, is owning investment in a company that mines copper or that mines gold or silver, is that a good thing to do, or uranium? And then let your wisdom, your knowledge, your financial gurus in your life help you make those kinds of decisions. I am a stock market investor. I won't tell you directly in terms of go invest in a specific thing. I will say, do your homework, do your research, and think about whether or not it might make sense for you, if you can't own the land directly, to make investment through those companies that do or that mine the land around the world. It's not just here in the United States, it's in South America, it's in Europe, it's in China, it's in Africa. Africa is definitely mineral rich, and there's other mineral rich places in the world as well too. Gold, silver, uranium, lithium, cobalt, all those things. And so whoever controls that land, possesses that land, are going to control the production of the minerals that come from that land as well too. So that's one of the reasons why possessing the land makes a lot of sense for minerals. I was trying to think about some other things too. There was a time when coal mining was very valuable. I actually worked for a company years ago as an auditor, and down in southern Illinois, we had to go down in the mine shaft, a coal mine shaft, 700 feet underground, to do an audit. That was a freaky experience, but we did it. We weren't there long, but there are people who are working in mines all over the world, and for the minerals, they're mining the minerals. There are people who are mining the copper, certain parts of the United States and other parts of the world. So I say it again, invest and possess the land for minerals. Now, let's shift gears a little bit. And this video is probably not going to be long as some of the other ones I've done, but let's shift gears a little bit and say, why buy real estate? So this is part of the series of why buy real estate, or why possess the land: minerals, wealth, income. And now let's think about it from the perspective of what am I trying to think about here? Food production. Okay. And, I once owned a vacant lot that I did a community garden on for 15 years with a group of friends, and we grew our own food. So think about it. That's on a local, kind of a smaller scale. And think about all the community gardens there. And think about, if you are into healthy eating, how important might it be for you to have your own garden, to have land that you can grow food on and you can eat that food. It's organic, it's healthy, it's all those things combined in one. And that may appreciate in value as well too. So land that's held for food production can be very valuable. Think about the farmland. I'm here in the Midwest. All you got to do is go south of Chicago, maybe west too, and you can see corn, you can see soybean. And some of those farmers are very, very wealthy because they own a lot of acres of land. Think about places where they grow grapes for wine production, places like Napa Valley, like the south of France, and places where they have olive groves as well too, like in Italy, like in Spain. All of that is very valuable land, food production. And so I would advocate that that is something we can do. We can buy land. And so possess the land is not just about buying buildings and houses and all that kind of stuff, apartment buildings. It's also, sometimes it just makes sense to buy vacant land and hold that land and produce food from that land. I met a farmer a couple years ago, and I was surprised that he was a farmer, but we talked about it a little bit, and it just made perfect sense. He was growing food, he was selling that food to some major organizations and some individuals. For me personally, I like going to farmers markets, and those are farmers, local farmers, that doing everything from growing corn to spinach to cabbage to raising chickens. They got fresh eggs. And so food production, land and food production go hand in hand as well too. Another thing that comes to mind on this whole notion of food production is, at some point in time, you know, whoever controls that land, whoever controls that food production can control the quality of that food that comes from that land as well too. So is it organic? Are they an organic grower? Or are they using pesticides? So if we possess our own land for food production, we can control the quality and the safety of that land as well too. Now, farming, if you look historically, I know that two of my great grandfathers, the great grandfathers, bought land in Mississippi, and they lived off that land. And I've talked about this in other videos as well too. And some of that land is, I believe, I hope, it's still in my family somewhere. Someone has possessed that land and still taking care of it. But food production was a way of survival in the South for a lot of Black families, and not just Black families exclusively, but they lived off of the land. So if you're in inner cities, like places like Chicago, you can find community gardens. Places like Detroit. Detroit has an amazing system of community gardens, some big, some small. Chicago has an amazing system of community gardens, some big and some small. Grow in your own backyard. Make sure the land is clean, do raised bed gardening, whatever the case may be, but possess that land. You can combine that notion of food production and minerals right with income and wealth building, especially if it's land that has something on it that someone else wants, someone else is willing to buy from you. They may be willing to buy the food from you, but they also may be willing to buy the minerals or invest in it with you. So again, I'm going to be all awareness that owning land that has an oil well under it may be kind of rare, but you can go to places like Kansas, and you can find people that own small patches of land where oil is being produced, and maybe in Texas as well too. So it's not out of the question that you can't find land that has oil on it. So again, I wanted to share those two concepts with you today, and invite you to continue to follow me as I talk about other concepts. Stay tuned for the next video. Well, I'll talk about two more reasons why buy real estate, why that's important, why possess the land is important. But I'm Terrence Young. I'm here in Chicago, Illinois. It's a bright, sunny day in Chicago. Finally, it's warm again. And I invite you in to possess the land wherever you get the chance to possess the land. You can find me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Please give me feedback, give me comments. If you have questions for me, there'll be a way you can reach me directly at the end of this video. Should be a link or something. And I would love to hear from you. Again, I'm Terrence Young in Chicago, Illinois with Possess the Land. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you at another video in the future, and hopefully one day get a chance to possess some land with you. Okay, that's all for now. See you later.